Howdy, this is Mackenzie Franklin from SideGame LLC here in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Today we're going to be taking a look at Assassin's Creed Brotherhood of Venice, published by Triton Noir. And this is going to be an organizing video where we take a look at how you can store the game during that initial campaign from mission to mission, and that way your gameplay can get started quickly. This does use all of the inserts and organizing components that exist in the base game, so you're not going to need to cut or modify anything, but we may release a video in the future, a reorganizing video, that is going to allow you to store things like the giant tower miniatures inside as well, because right now these things are pretty fragile, and we want to make sure that we put them on display because I do think they're pretty hilariously large. So these will take out some major room if you decide to store them in the box, and that's going to involve you deconstructing. This is a fully sleeved copy of the game, and just want to kind of go over how we use it and how we store things from mission to mission and how to actually put it away. Now, that being said, if you aren't subscribed to the channel already, please make sure that you are. It is the best way to help us grow. But let's get started with the video. Now, first off, let's lift off this gigantic box lid. Ugh. So we will lift this huge thing up. This thing is almost as big as Kingdom Death Monster in width. It is insane. All right, here's our box. So in this main compartment here, you'll see that we have all sorts of goodies. Now, first off, we have our cardboard tiles here. These are for all the locations, and you're going to organize them based on types. You have all your roofs here, and then underneath that, you'll have all your streets. And then underneath that, you'll have all of your rooms, your indoor areas, and lastly, your canals. So you'll stack those into just one large area and just kind of drapes them on top. Above that, we have two plastic bags. These are if you decide to play with more characters. Right now, we have the game set up for 2, but if you play with more assassins, you'll put their individual equipment in these bags. Underneath that, you have the Ezio miniature. You're going to put a red base on this. A lot of your characters will summon this thing based on their abilities, so it's nice to have a red base on here already, so you can just pull it out and it's ready to go. And it fits nicely in its little plastic miniature case here. Underneath that, we'll have this toolbox organizer. You get this from the Dollar Tree. It's a great little organizer that's going to have all of your tokens for the setups. So you'll have a silica gel packet in here for freshness, your spawn points, your rules reminders, icons, whatever you need is going to be in here. If you look in the description below, there's going to be links to all of these organizers we're using, including this one, as well as any sleeves that you might see as well. And speaking of sleeves, we're also going to be using some of these Arcane Tinman board game sleeves. These are the tarot size. These are going to fit all of your large event cards. Once again, link in the description below. And for the small cards, we're going to be using these Game Plus product sleeves. They're super nice. They're mini European size, so you need tarot and mini European. These are going to be for your item cards as well as the spawn cards. Many variety of cards will use this one as well as those large sleeves. So you'll need both of these, and seeing as you're kind of opening packages as you play, it's nice to have them in the box so that way when new stuff does get introduced, you have something to sleeve them with right away. So really nice, have those on hand. Underneath that, we have our assassin boards. These are going to be the player boards for each player. They're nice and indented for your health, your action cubes, and then spots for all of your equipment, and on these sides, your level up cards. So you have 4 of those. And then underneath that, you'll have your board that's going to have your current enemies. So this is your assassins, the ones that attack melee, and then the ones that are the crossbowmen. And these will be for your spawn cards and your current alarm state. On the left side here, you'll have your compass rows. This will kind of get you an idea of where people are going to be coming during that assassin's phase when the enemies are moving around. And then on top, you're going to have your large square tiles. These are all of your towers on them. You have canal sides as well as street sides. And under that, you're going to have some more of these large tiles. Another large square tile. This one has a cool little introductory way. And then you'll have your headquarters tile. That'll be here based on the side that you've chosen, the mercenaries or the courtesans. And then you'll have some more large scenery tiles based on the missions that you're using. Very, very cool. Have those ready to go on top. Underneath that, we have our campaign booklet and our rule booklet. So these two are pretty important for playing. The rule book is laid out pretty well. You have these little numbers that'll show up on cards and they'll explain what's going on. And I really like how that's done. And then when it comes to the campaign booklet, you can either use the booklet at the back and mark things off based on as you play, but we've gone ahead and printed out a copy of the Diary of Memories, so that way you can just use a pen and pencil and not have to worry about the replay value on this. Another important thing is there are some typos in this game. So when you go to the missions, go to the Triton Noir website, you can print out new erratas here. So for example, 3.1 memory is incorrect. So go ahead and print out that errata. There are also some additional cards that you'll need to reprint. One of the characters in particular, Daria, her effects are incorrect. So go to the website and print out those erratas. The sleeves will help things stay where they are supposed to be when you're sleeving the cards in particular. Up next, we have the miniatures tray, and you're just going to go ahead and use it as it is presented. Every time you play, you're only going to be using one specific type. So in one mission, you might be using the crossbowmen and then these guards, but as you play, you might switch out these guards for maybe the horsemen or a different type of guard. You'll also be populating the board with these teleporting stations and these gardens. It kind of just depends on the mission, so it's good to have that bank there when you need them. Underneath that, you have the second miniatures tray, and this is going to be pretty much the same thing. You're going to have all of your characters on top here that you're going to be using, so those are in a different spot and you'll see why, but then you'll have that bank of other characters, more crossbowmen and other types of guards, stairs, bases for your characters, objective tokens. As I said, we have this set up for a 2-player game, so we also have the bases gone that are affixed to the characters we're using. So we have those all ready to go as well, but you'll have those in the bottom of your area there. And lastly, we go into the main body insert here. So we have all of our secret boxes that are unopened, but underneath this particular one, you're going to have all of the dice that you're not using, as well as the wagon miniatures. So you're going to be using these in tandem with the towers, and they work pretty nicely. Underneath these wagon miniatures, you're also going to have all of the cards you're not using. You'll use these spawn cards based on the player count that you're playing with. Since we're playing with 2, we don't need the 3 or the 4, so we just simply leave those in there and then put our wagons on top. So we have our wagons as well as our dice that we're not using in that right section, and then our mystery box on top. So I'm not going to show you any big spoilers here, but underneath these, there are no additional spaces. I'll just kind of show you what's underneath each of these sections. Kind of like a little advent calendar, which is pretty fun during this holiday season. Underneath this section here, once again, nothing. I imagine these are going to be some really cool miniatures. Who knows, though? So lots of exciting surprises to wait. Nothing under this box. And then let's take a look in this middle section. So this is where we're going to put a lot of your tarot cards and some plastic bags for some of the characters. So first off, you'll have your 2 current minions. So these will be your crossbowmen usually, and then whatever your red minion is. These could be guards, people with blades, essentially. They're going to go on that enemy board. So you'll have those 2 on top, and then you'll have your current event deck. So as you play, you're going to be adding event cards to this event deck, and they'll all go into here. And lastly, you'll have the characters that are in your headquarters. So as you play, you're going to choose one of these headquarters to go for, and we've gone ahead and gone with the courtesans. So we have all of these 3 characters with their own profiles and how they help out with mission to mission. So have all this stuff organized like so that way you just pull it out and you're ready to go for that mission. Underneath that, you'll have your character bags, and these are going to be for each individual character. So they have your items for that character currently, all that character's dice, so their player-colored specific dice, their guard dice, and their detection dice, and then you'll have all of their health chips as well as their action cubes, and then their current level card. So this is Daria's, all of her stuff is here, so we just give it to that player and they're ready to go. And underneath that, we have Claudio, who also has all of his equipment and dice and everything that he's earned so far. Very, very neat. Underneath that, you'll have extra action cubes and extra health cubes, and that'll be a pool that you can grab from when you need to during the gameplay. Up next, in this bottom section here, we'll have a bunch of miniatures, and these are going to contain not only your miniatures of your characters that you're using, you'll fix those bases, that way you can just grab them every time because you will use them, but also any of the miniatures for the characters in your HQ. So we're with the courtesans, so we actually have our courtesans miniatures in there as well as our apprentice assassins. So you're going to need those every round in addition to that Ezio miniature. So I'm not going to take them all out, but they're all in here, and they fit nicely into this large well at the bottom. This next one here on the left side, you'll see that there's nothing under here. There are room for the small cards here. However, when they're sleeved, they get stuck in here, so not worth putting them in. But otherwise, we have a special mystery thing on top. We've got Leonardo's tank with a silica gel packet underneath it. Nothing really important right now to put under there. And then we have this statue as well as the little stand for one of the towers. So the tower here, it has a spot where this little piece is going to fit in, like so. And this is where you can actually put your character. But we've gone ahead and just put it in there because it does tend to fall off, unfortunately. I may super glue it in the future, but I think for storage, this might be fine, especially if we're planning on putting the towers into the boxes in the future. So with that being said, that is that little piece. It fits nicely just in that statue area there. This left section of the box is going to have your HQ space. We'll open this up and it'll show what is currently in our HQ. That's on the left side here, separated by these detection dice. And then on the right side, this is your current equipment deck. So your pool based on how many of the scenarios you completed. So that's all going to fit in your little HQ box. And so you can just open that and put it to the side. But the thing that it's covering are all of these envelopes, and these are your current missions. So right now we're in mission 2.2, so this is the one that we're going to be going into, and underneath that you'll have all of your different envelopes based on your characters. So we are currently in HQ1, so we have that one out in case we need to put cards back, and then our 2 character packs, Daria and Claudio, based on level ups, but everything else is just your upcoming missions. Whenever you finish a mission or you see that you no longer need an envelope, you're just going to slide it to the back here. So for example, in the back, we've got mission 2.1 here, because we're not going to need to go back to it really, unless we're putting back cards permanently, so it should be easy to find those if you need to. Now the last thing to look for, and if you don't want any spoilers, this might be a good thing to skip, but if you look underneath the insert, you're going to see that this is where we've stored some of the other additional components. So we have our sticker sheet here. This is if you do want to use the stickers and put them right into your rulebook for those complete syncs. You also have some of these red sections, and these are, I imagine if you're a fan of the Assassin's Creed video games, you will know what these are from. And then lastly, we'll have our sheets that tell where the miniatures go in those miniature trays. So these are all on the bottom because right now we are not using them and they don't take any space up here. Now, as I said before, we may change our organization method if we're trying to consolidate everything, but that's everything that's under the insert. And that's everything in the box. So let's go ahead and pack it up. So first off, we have all those envelopes on the left, and we'll cap that off by putting that HQ box here, just sliding that in like so. We'll go ahead and take all of our character packs and put them in this large belt here that's shaped for those tarot-sized cards. We'll put our large tarot-sized event and character cards on top of that. Then we'll take our large miniature trays and put them on top of that main section. Keep it nice and flat. We'll then take our campaign and rule booklet and put it on the left, followed by our large tiles here with our current headquarters on top, our large square tiles on top of that, followed by our different targets, as well as our locations, our assassin boards, all of our large square boards, and we'll make sure that those slide like so. Our plastic bags in case we play with more players, our sleeves for when we introduce new content from those large envelopes, and then lastly, our organizer for all of our tokens. Psych! One more thing to go, our Ezio miniature here, and that's for when we are deciding to play with our friend Ezio. And that is everything in Assassin's Creed Brotherhood of Venice. If you have any questions about what you saw here, please let me know down in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you think. How do you organize your copy of Assassin's Creed Brotherhood of Venice? Have you consolidated everything into the box? Have you gotten rid of the miniatures? Have you found a way to put these towers inside of this core box? Now, I remember doing a video a while ago with Alex Radcliffe over at Board Game Co., and he talked about how he was very much anticipating our video for this, and I'm sorry to disappoint you here, but the organization system works extremely well. I think that the envelopes work well. I think that this organization system is going to help you get this played quite a bit. The boxes work well, the bags work well, and it is easy to set up this scenario. So I'm pretty pleased with the way that this is working. We are able to get gameplay started pretty quickly when we want to, which I think is fantastic. But the only thing that I might change in the future is the storage of the large groups of miniatures. So every scenario you're bringing out lots of crossbowmen, so I may actually just get rid of one of those trays that holds all of the crossbowmen and do it sort of like we did for the reorganizing for Zombicide, where we take all of the miniatures and put them in just trays, and that way they're easy to pull out and you just have a pool to grab from. Because I think they are pretty durable, so I don't think we should have a huge issue with them getting damaged, but you are kind of grabbing mobs of them at a time, so it might be good to play them. So we'll see how that goes, and I'll see if we do need to do that, but right now, pretty happy with this organization method, but be on the lookout for a reorganizing in the future. But thank you so much for watching SideGame Strong.